we could have the Pledge of Allegiance led by,
Screen's not on yet.
oh, the screen's
They're
not
not.
on. Okay, there we go. Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Thomason. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And the roll call, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Sounds like okay, I think that sounds, does that sound better? Okay, perfect. District 1, Vincent Renhaden.
Present.
District 2, Richard Way.
Present.
District 3, Robert Scagliotti.
Present.
District 4, Robert Gibson.
Present.
District 5, Bobby Thomason.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Item number 4, departmental announcements.
If we can have CMS please put the PowerPoint up. Okay, thank you so much. As you know, Mr. Chair, members of the Planning Commission, from time to time, I come up to provide applications that have come in for the Planning Department in the recent past. And this is an application that came in not for a conditional use permit yet. It was just a preliminary application for comments, and then they're pending a formal submittal in the near future. But this is located in the northwest corner of the intersection of Fairview Road and Highway 156. The site is approximately 3.5 acres for a 6,500 square foot convenience store, a proposed fuel pump station for vehicles, 2,650 square foot fast service restaurant with drive-thrus, and 4,980 square foot buildings for commercial uses. And the proposed access would be from onto Fairview Road and Route 156 Frontage Road. So this is a preliminary application at this time, and we will notify you if we get a formal submittal soon. And that's the application that we have for now. And also in planning departments, we just would like to welcome Assistant County Counsel Brian Briggs. He is with Prentice Long, and he is a new member, new addition to the team, and he'll be helping us as well with the Planning Commission, along with Sean Cameron and Rebecca Mojica. And that concludes planning department reports.
Welcome aboard.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, is that it for you, Abraham, for now?
What was that, Chairman?
That's it for you for now?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you. Before we move into public comment on, this is general public comment on things that are not on the agenda for tonight, I'm going to move item 8.1, which is the election of chair and vice chair of the commission, for the simple reason that it may affect, who operates this meeting, or who's the vice chair if the chair has to recuse themselves for whatever reason. So with that, let's go ahead and open up for nominations for chair. Do we have any nominations for chair?
Yes, I nominate Robert Gibson.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Other nominations for chair?
I'd like to nominate Richard Way.
Is there a second? Okay, I am in the awkward position. I'm going to second myself. Sorry. Okay, so we have 2 nominations. Are there other nominations for chair? Doesn't sound like it. So rather than putting people in the position of having to vote against somebody, I'm going to just poll the commissioners and ask who they want for the chair. In other words, between the 2 candidates. And if you don't have a preference, obviously you can pass. So Commissioner Ringhayden.
I stand by my nomination.
Okay, thank you. So that would be a vote for myself, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just want to get it on the record so there's no confusion in the minutes or whatnot. Commissioner Thomason,
I would stand with Commissioner Way, I believe.
okay, thank you, appreciate it. Commissioner Scagliotti?
Stand by my nomination.
Okay, so that would be for Commissioner Gibson. And Commissioner Gibson,
Sure, I'll vote for myself.
okay.
Although it's not really a vote, I'm not sure.
And that means that basically I get the, awkward position of voting for myself. So, thank you.
We're going to make that in the form of a motion so it's legal?
I guess we need to, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so the motion would be, I guess, whoever wants to make the motion. I don't want to make it.
I move that Richard Way continue to be the chairman of the Hollister Planning Commission,
San Benito County.
or San Benito County, sorry, San Benito County Planning Commission.
Is there a second on that?
I second.
Okay. We just did a roll call. Do we actually need to do a roll call on this?
Yes, please.
We should? Okay. All right. Commissioner Ringhayden.
Chairman Way, should I make the roll call or would you like to make the roll
Oh,
call?
no, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. District 1, Commissioner Bernhayden. Okay, so this is in regards to having Chairman Richard Way to be chair, and so yes would be to vote for that, and no would be to vote against. Thank you. So Commissioner Bernhayden? Yes. Okay. District 2, Commissioner Richard Way.
Yes.
District 3, Commissioner Robert Scagliotti.
No.
District 4, Commissioner Robert Gibson.
No.
District 5, Commissioner Bobby Thomason.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the vice chair position. Our nominations are open for vice chair. I would nominate Commissioner Ringhayden if he's willing to do it. Is there a second on that?
Yes.
Other nominations for vice chair? Okay. Yeah, I guess that's the question of the hour. Are you willing to serve in that position if elected? Okay, all right. Then I guess we need a motion since there's only one candidate. I guess somebody want to make a motion that he be appointed or elected vice chair?
I'll make the motion that Commissioner Ringhayden is
Okay.
nominated for vice chair.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. And roll call vote, please.
Certainly. District number 1, Commissioner Vincent Ringhayden. District number 2, Commissioner Richard Way.
Yes.
District number 3, Commissioner Robert Scagliotti.
Yes.
District number 4, Commissioner Robert Gibson.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Bobby Thomason.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. So we have our leadership in place for the year. Appreciate that. And now moving back to the normal agenda. Page up. Now we move into public comment. And before we move into public comment, let me have Abraham read the procedures, please.
Be happy to, Chair Way. The San Benito County Planning Commission welcomes your comments. Each individual speaker will be limited to a presentation total of 3 minutes. When addressing the commission via Zoom, phone, or in chambers, please state your name and county in which you reside for the record. Please address the commission as a whole through the chair. If participating via Zoom, select the Participants tab and click the raise hand icon. If you're using a phone, please press *9 to raise your hand. When you're turn arrives, you will hear that you have been unmuted. And I do not have any speaker cards or no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, well, regardless, just in case there's somebody here who didn't know that they needed to put in a speaker card, let me just explain that this is your opportunity to address the commission on matters that are not on tonight's agenda but are within the purview of the Planning Commission. So if you do want to comment on anything that is not on tonight's agenda but is within our purview, either on Zoom or within the chambers, this is your time to come forward with a card or to raise your hand on Zoom. So seeing none, I guess we'll move on. The consent agenda tonight consists of acknowledging the certificate of posting, approving the minutes from November, and approving the minutes from December. And I should mention that I did spot, well, two of us spotted issues in the minutes, but they're, in both cases, I think, relatively minor. In my case, what I spotted was in the November minutes, there is an insertion of the item that decided the calendar for 2026, which we did not do until the December meeting, if I remember correctly. And I think it just got pasted in. It was probably something in somebody's clipboard and accidentally got pasted into the November minutes. So we'll probably want to correct that. I think you'll find it pretty easily as you look through it. If you want to know specifically, I can give you chapter and verse here. It's in our packet on our page
13.
13, thank you. On our page 13, yep. Okay. And I believe that Commissioner Gibson may have spotted something as well.
On page 12 of our packet, it said Stephanie began her service with the planning department on April 4th of 2025. I think it was before that.
2022.
Okay. That's all I had.
Okay. So is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda with those corrections, or are there additional corrections?
So moved.
Okay. Is there a second? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? No. Okay, then the consent agenda is adopted. And moving on to item 7, public hearing. And for each of these items, for the benefit of anybody who may not have been here before, generally the way we do this is we will have the staff tell us about the project or the item in question. We'll have the opportunity, the commission will have the opportunity to ask questions of the staff. We then open it up for public comment on the item. We then bring it back to the commission for discussion and potential action. So with that, let's move on into item 7.1, please.
Good evening, Michael Kelly, Senior Planner. I am here to bring back once again the, if I may ask for our CMAP operator to bring the presentation onto the screen that I have. I don't know that there's so much to show on this since we discussed this before, so I don't want to go into great detail on this, but the minor subdivision at 748 Bellato Road, PLN 250045. Just to review very briefly, 748 Bellato Road, just near Tres Pinos. It is proposed to be subdividing the property into 3 lots, 2 of them close to 5 acres and 1 of them just short of 26 acres. When it was brought, of course, as you recall, to the Planning Commission before, there was it's continued multiple times for various reasons. Last time, the commission had concerns about how this fit into the landscape and the agriculture there. The applicant came and brought us a letter proposing to address the concerns about how this fits into the agricultural landscape. That letter is in your packet, and that letter proposed, and it's reflected in the condition of approval that's shown here, proposed to restrict the sale of the property proposed to restrict any sale of any part of the subject property for a period of 5 years. An exception could be made for a sale to any family member, but otherwise there would not be a sale of the property to a sale of the property for a period of 5 years following the recording of this map, following the establishment of the lots, the official establishment of these lots. That letter, as I said, is in your packet and describes the rationale for this. Staff's recommendation at the prior meeting was effectively this, and staff once again recommends that the Planning Commission review the staff report and materials associated with this project and review the draft resolution, including findings and conditions of approval, including the new condition 38 that establishes the requirement for this deed restriction, receive public comment, and adopt the resolution, including the findings, and subject to the conditions of approval found in the resolution. If you have any questions, I can help with that, and the applicant is here also.
Thanks. And yeah, before we move into questions from the commission, I should mention that I did go out to the property and I did meet with Mr. Brigantino as well as his wife. So just FYI, just by way of disclosure.
Chair, I'd also like to say the same thing. I did meet with Vince and his wife.
Okay, and I omitted, when I explained, how we do things, I omitted the fact that usually we also give the applicants an opportunity to give a presentation if they wish to. I'm betting, well, I'm not betting anything. Does the applicant or their representative want to make a presentation? Okay.
Good evening, commissioners. I'm not going to, in the interest of time, of course, not going to read what's in your package. But I was, fortunate that I was able to spend time at the site with Commissioner Way and Commissioner Ringheden, and briefly spoke with Commissioner Scagliotti. I would have loved to have spoken to Commissioner Thomason and Gibson so I could be as prepared as possible for tonight. But I do believe the concerns that I did receive from the commissioners that I spoke to, I think we satisfactorily addressed those concerns. But I'm here to answer questions. My wife, who's an applicant, also is in the back of the room, and the engineer, Ann Hall, as well, for questions. So thank you.
Commissioner, I need to say something. I did talk briefly with Mr. Brigantino on the phone, and we did not discuss the properties. We just had I told him I would do it up here on the dais, so I want to be known that I did not discuss anything about this project on the phone.
Okay, thank you. Are there questions from the commission for staff or for the applicant before we move into public comment? No? Okay, let's open it up for public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. San Benito County Planning Commission welcomes your comments. Each individual speaker will be limited to a presentation total of 3 minutes. When addressing the commission via Zoom, phone, or in chambers, please state your name and county in which you reside for the record. Please address the commission as a whole through the chair. If participating via Zoom, select the Participants tab and click the raise hand icon. If you are using a phone, please press *9 to raise your hand. When your turn arrives, you will hear that you have been unmuted. If you are participating in person here at the chambers, please complete a speaker card identifying the item in which you wish to speak and provide your commented card to the clerk prior to consideration of the item. Speaker cards are available on the table at the entrance or here with me at the clerk station. I currently have no speaker cards. If anybody out there would like to speak, you could come right ahead. And there's nobody on Zoom either, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thanks. Then bringing it back to the commission for discussion and possible action. Feel free.
Well, I guess I just wanted to say that I did meet with Vince and we discussed it, what he was proposing, and I honestly found it to be a good conversation. And I think Commissioner Scagliotti had a suggestion of a 5-year restriction. And I think that he was satisfied in doing that. And I found him to be totally trustworthy and believable. He doesn't want to build a bunch of houses on there. This is for his family. That's what my thoughts on that.
Okay. Other thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't say 5-year restriction. I didn't put a time limit on it. So the applicant came up with this on his own. I did not put a time limit on it.
Okay. So that was his number.
That was Mr. Brigantino's
And what do you,
thought.
just out of curiosity, what do you think of that?
Too short a time.
I didn't hear you.
The 5 years is too short. It'd be longer. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Other thoughts?
The only,
Go ahead.
go ahead. I just said the only other thing is that the general plan itself was obviously written with other intentions other than saving agriculture, because it says that we should subdivide into 5-acre parcels and call it ag productive, yet
Yeah.
here it says the policy expects the project applicant seeking to subdivide agriculturally zoned parcels must demonstrate the ongoing feasibility of lots smaller than 40 acres for commercial ag. It talks out of both sides of its mouths. And unfortunately, given the state of the county, I don't think we're ever going to get that corrected, at least not on my time here at the Planning Commission.
It certainly is an ongoing problem.
And so I am not in support of subdividing any ag for any purpose, especially housing.
Okay, my reaction from visiting the property and talking to Mr. Brigantino, as well as from his testimony and the public testimony in prior meetings, is I tend to agree with Commissioner Ringhaden. I believe he's trustworthy. I believe he intends to do what he said he would do. So based on that, I mean, I would support this particular project and this particular restriction, this particular condition. I wish it were more than 5 years, but I do understand his reasoning. Basically things happen and you can't always predict what those things might be. I suppose we could, I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, you know how in health insurance, if you want to switch insurers, you can only do it at certain times of the year, or if some particular qualifying event happens. We could, I suppose, come up with some list of qualifying events, but that might be really difficult to do, and I'm sure we would not be able to come up with an exhaustive list. So, based on that, I mean, I think I would support this as presented to us personally, but again, it's my opinion. So, are we in a position to? You want to discuss more? Yeah, go ahead. Oh, you didn't have an opportunity to discuss this,
What
did you? I'm
page
sorry.
was your note on? I'm not finding it. Commissioner Gibson, what page was your note on that your little, sorry.
About the general plan and its bulk.
I was kind of, thought I.
Page nope. Page 33 of our packet. But it's often cited as the reason why we should go ahead and subdivide into 5-acre parcels. Then on the other side of the general plan, it says that we're trying to preserve ag and you can't do both by cutting it into little pieces.
Okay. I'm good.
Okay. All right. Further discussion, or are we in position to consider doing something on this?
I'd like to run something by the commission. Would you guys be interested in extending that 5-year ag overlay?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part of that.
Would you be interested in extending that 5-year ag overlay to something a little bit more time?
I would certainly, I mean, since I'm fine with the 5, I'd certainly be fine with something longer, but of course the applicant may not be, but.
Well, that's what we'll ask the
It's
applicant.
not an ag overlay. It's they can't sell the property within 5 years except the family. There's
Yeah.
nothing to do with ag overlay. It just says they can't sell it, which I don't even know if that's
But I put-
constitutional, is it?
No,
But-
I put, we talked about an ag easement over
Yeah,
that.
that didn't get,
That didn't get in here, huh?
that's what would have made sense.
Yeah.
Restraints against alienation, which is the sale of a property, are generally highly disfavored. I wouldn't put it on as a condition. I wouldn't recommend doing that. However, in this case, the applicant is agreeing to it.
I also can't help but wonder a little bit about the nebulousness of the specification of selling to family, because whose family? I mean,
That is also a very good question.
Yeah.
You know, generally the law would look at sanguinity, which is blood, but families are very complicated. You can have, foster children, you can have stepchildren, so that it is a nebulous term.
yeah, could you sell to a third cousin twice removed? And, I mean, I'm not saying don't do it because of that. I'm just a little bit concerned about that. So, but I do believe the applicant. It's not a question of trust. It's a question of, what can we do to make this happen if that's what he intends to do and what he would like to do. So,
Commissioner,
yep, go ahead.
Mr. Brigantino, can I ask you a question? What is the property like? If I remember correctly, it's supposed to be kind of rocky, not real.
Very, very rocky. It is a tough piece of dirt, figuratively and literally. We actually just planted a hay crop there, and it just only went in the ground about 2 inches. We couldn't get a ripper through there because there was all kinds of rocks. Actually caused a fair amount of damage to the tractor. So we decided not to try and go deep at all, and we just about 2 inches of the top. It's really, like I said in the first meeting, it's good for wine grapes. It's beautiful for that, but there's just no market for it right now. We are committed to keeping that land in productive ag, even though it's, you're doing it with your heart, not your head. I mean, it's not a financial investment. That's what I've been doing with the grapes around my house. I really enjoy it, and I'm not doing it for any financial reasons, but that's the reason we put the ag well in. I mean, I could have just put a little domestic well in for a house. So our intent is to keep it productive. And you have to be very creative, to keep this ground productive. So the nice thing is the Folkdale Winery Group, which is out of Carmel Valley. I don't know if you've ever been out to their place. They have a beautiful place. They lease it for 1 year, pretty favorable terms. And they up the lease for 5 years. So that's fantastic for keeping the grapes that are up on the hill there. There's 12 acres of little blank cap. And also my parcel was integral to keeping the neighboring property in production because they use the water from my property, the well water. So we are intent on keeping it in productive ag, but believe me, it's very difficult. I earn my living. Every dollar that's been in and out of my bank account has been related to agriculture. I've raised my kids on agriculture, put them through school, put them through college. That's pretty much the only business that I know, and I do know it well. I know the local ag environment well. This property will be a labor of love, no question about it. A good friend of mine said, hey, we're not in business to farm the highway, meaning he doesn't want to farm remote pieces. He doesn't want to drive tractors and equipment up and down the pavement. And this piece is isolated so that I talked to a lot of large growers, winery vendors and growers, and they don't have interest in the property because it's in an isolated area. Folktale does, they're a little bit unique. And they actually have, this longer term, I talked to them just on the whim, they potentially, would you ever do something in San Benito County like you have on and they were interested, which surprised me a little bit, but they liked that location. It's close, so there's some hope there, and something like that would give all the local land a boost, because now you have an operation that's more vertically integrated, where you can get some retail sales potentially. So anyway, there is, I don't want to say, that like it's, dire straits, but it's only really good for, hay or wine grapes. And wine grapes, there's just no market for it right now. The consumption is on the decline. But that changes, the wine grape goes in maybe 7-year cycles. It takes 3 years to grow, and you invest it, and then it takes a while. On our produce industry, the cycles go much quicker. So yes, that is correct. It's going to be a very difficult piece of dirt to follow, again, literally and figuratively. And if I could address about family, I mean, we can name, our children's names. I mean, we can get specific in terms of that. And I think that's what that document says. Of course, we have to go back and forth with, with legal counsel. And yes, we came up with 5 years. As I stated, I think life happens. I didn't expect to lose the family members I did at such a young age, and just things happen. And I hope everybody lives long, healthy, and happy. But the purpose of that is to ensure you that we're not in it for the short term quick. And I think it covers that. We're not in it for the short term quick. Are there any other questions?
Well, since he mentioned adding his children as part of that, I guess we'd have to ask counsel, is that something we could even do?
If the applicant is willing to do that, yes.
Would that make a difference to any of the commissioners?
It wouldn't make a difference to me because I would support it even without that specificity.
And that'll make a difference to me.
Okay. So are we in a position then to take an action on this, or is there additional discussion
I think
needed?
that we could. I think that we could at least make a motion. So I'd like to make a motion that we move forward on this and grant his application.
Because originally when the applicant came to us, he said it was for himself and his 2 sons. So if we make it specified, or he specifies it's for his 2 sons, I'm assuming, right, Vince? You got 2 boys? I would not have a problem with that.
Okay. Then can we modify the motion to add the idea that we're also adding a condition that the sale be to specific people?
As a point of order, Mr. Chair, there was a motion without a second.
Oh, good point. Good point. So
I didn't hear what he said.
So there's a motion without a second. So you moved to approve it, and we need a second on that. Then we can talk about modifying the motion.
Correct.
So is there a second? Okay, so I would like to suggest a friendly amendment to the motion that's on the table before we vote on it. And the friendly amendment to Commissioner Ringhayden's motion is that we add the specific family members that we just discussed to the list of, or not add, but specify the 2 family members as the people to whom the sale can be done.
as a point of order,
Yes.
that would require an agreement to the amendment by the motion maker and then an agreement by the second. And then the motion is properly before the
So
commission.
I'd like to amend my motion to those additional item, that additional item.
Okay, and does Commissioner Thomason agree to that, since you were the one who seconded? You were the one who
Yes.
seconded. Yeah. Okay. All right, so the motion on the table then is to approve the subdivision with the addition of the specific people to whom the sale can be made. Is that correct? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we probably need a roll call on this one.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. District 1, Commissioner Vincent Rainheden.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Richard Way.
Yes.
District 3, Commissioner Robert Scaglioli.
Yes.
District 4, Commissioner Robert Gibson.
No.
District 5, Commissioner Bobby Thompson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on into item 7.2, which is about, 1 second. Seven 7.2 is a macro cell tower, so if we could have the presentation on that.
Yes, once again, Michael Kelly, Senior Planner. I'm just going to take a moment to get everything in place here. Pardon me, I just need to check something. Just double checking that I'm doing the clerking things right. Okay, so I am here again to now present the 2200 San Juan Hollister Road wireless facility. And this is first the location 2200 San Juan Hollister Road, approximately 1,000 feet east of Highway 156. Oh, you know what? Sorry, not Buena Vista Road. That I left over from the last meeting. I'm sorry about that. 156 and Business Route 156. And this is, sorry, I think that I left that in from a prior meeting. 2,500 square foot lease area is what is on this one. So I just will move on. Here is the location up closer. This is along San Juan Hollister Road. This right here. There you go. So San Juan Hollister Road, the industrial area along San Juan Hollister Road there. And here is the project site just across the river from incorporated Hollister properties. And here is the project site, which is an industrial property. And in this northeast corner is where the tower site would be. What's proposed there is a 100-foot tall monopine style tower with the features that are shown here, the antennas, the remote radio units, and other features on a, so correction to what I said before, 2,500 square foot lease area. And a driveway also to lead from San Juan Hollister Road to the site. Once again, the site, the driveway leading from San Juan Hollister Road across the property to the lease area, 2,500 square feet lease area, and this is where the tower would be. The applicant has provided some photo simulations, and this first one is at Bridgevale Road and Bridge Road as you get to the west edge of Hollister. And you can see the tower right here, close-up view here. This is Bridge Road where it turns right to go northward and turn into Bridgevale Road. This is a view from 2025 San Juan Hollister Road. You can see in this graphic here is the river. This is the bridge, and just west of the bridge is where the viewer would be standing, looking past the trees toward the tower site right there. And there you see the monopine style tower. This is 2120 San Juan Hollister Road, a bit farther west, right here, right where the frontage road and the main road break, separate. And this is the tower looking past the buildings there. And 2140 San Juan Hollister Road, still a bit farther west from the previous view. Once again, the tower is as shown here. This is the signal that is present without the antennas, and I'll shift to the coverage with the antennas. This is the change that comes from before to after. Once again, before to after. The applicant has said that the main idea is, here's business route 156, the turnoff into Hollister. The applicant has said that the main idea is for greater coverage along this road, but it also has some changes. You'll see some more signal along Union Road here and more signal in the eastern San Juan Valley. So once again, before and after. We compare this, of course, to the general plan, what's in the general plan, and we have the economic development element that talks about having a new business and investment and strengthening quality of life, the tower as a form of economic development. The public facilities and services element has several policies, including facilitating the use of best available technology for businesses, household, and government, and encouraging marketplace competition to ensure access to telecommunications, especially expensive service. It could be said that this supports those policies. And further policies in public facilities and services element, service reliability, the addition of more capacity, another tower with new antennas could very potentially add to more service reliability. The next policy, 9.4, talks about where these would be located, where these facilities would be located, reducing conflicts, reducing concerns of aesthetic effects. This site is an industrial site. The code favors industrial sites. It's also away from parks and schools, and it's away from residential areas too. This policy is about design integrating with surroundings. This is addressed with the tree style of tower. Co-location, this is not a co-location, of course, this is a new tower, but it allows for the possibility of future co-location. And on rural broadband service, this reaches rural areas outside of city limits. Zoning calls this site heavy industrial, where a conditional use permit is required for wireless facilities. And in the wireless communications facilities standards, code prefers that industrial sites be chosen over other sites if available. In this case, it is available. And also asks for a 500-foot setback from residences, which this observes. This code section calls for visual impacts to be minimized and future co-location to be required. This design responds with a tree design concealing equipment and allowing for 2 spaces for co-location in the future. We consider this according to what is in CEQA, California Environmental Quality Act. How does this relate to CEQA? CEQA gives exemptions with these 2 mentioned in the resolution. One is new construction or conversion of small structures, and utility extensions are considered to fit into that according to case law as shown here. The resolution also cites minor alterations to the land because this involves a driveway across the property, which is not significant change to the site and does not change, it does not remove trees. It also does not it does reach the floodplain. It does not reach into the river channel, however. So this could be considered exempt under this exemption. So staff recommends that the Planning Commission review the staff report, review the draft resolution, which includes the findings for CEQA and for concerns of the conditional use permit. And staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt the resolution, making the findings therein and approving the use permit. And
Thanks.
I can answer questions.
Yeah, before we go to questions for Michael, does the applicant themselves have a presentation this evening? Okay. All right, so would we rather hold off until we have the applicant's presentation and then do questions from the commission? I think so, yeah. Okay, let's have the applicant come up for a presentation then. And just for the benefit of the general public, the applicant is not limited to the 3 minutes that we limit the public comments on. They can have a reasonable length of time. Okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name's Andy Rotenstrike. Let me just say, first of all, I visited my dermatologist last week. I normally don't wear a hat with a sport coat, but that's why I'm wearing a hat, stitches and all. So just to put that out there if you're wondering. So I have Bill Lewis with me as well. Bill helped work on this project. This project, the applicant is a company called Vertical Bridge. The initial tenant on this tower would be Verizon Wireless. As Michael mentioned, we're building the tower strong enough to accommodate both AT&T and T-Mobile when they decide that they're ready to increase their coverage in this area. The first thing that Verizon requires when they need better coverage in an area is look to see if there are existing towers or tall buildings or structures that we can just hang our antennas on. There's a search area that Verizon needed to have its antennas in to get the improved coverage, which I'll talk about in a minute. And there was no existing tower or existing tall building in that area. So that left us with the only alternative, which was to build a new structure. And that's why this application is before you. So in this case, as Michael said, Vertical Bridge is leasing from Paul and Cheryl Baines, who owns the property, a 50-foot by 50-foot square in the back northeast corner of their property. We're using an existing gravel road to get to the property. We're not taking down any trees or anything of that nature. It is zoned industrial, as Michael said, and we are proposing a monopine stealth design as encouraged and asked for in your ordinance. So there were no towers in that quarter or half mile search area, but we do want to look out further to see if there's any towers. The two closest towers, there are two towers within 2 miles of where we're going. Verizon is on both of those towers, which gets to the reason of why this is needed. Michael talked about coverage and improving Verizon's coverage. I'd like to hand out a handout for you, and I brought several if you want to just maybe take one and pass it. Thank you. So in addition to providing coverage, there's also an issue at times with capacity. So you may have a phone that has coverage in an area, right? Or a carrier that has coverage. But if there's a lot of people using that site, using those antennas off that tower, it overloads the tower and you can't get calls to connect. You can't get on the internet through your phone or wireless device. So in order to make that work, in order to provide service for people driving on the roads or first responders, you got to have more signal. We call that a capacity site. So not only does this improve the coverage, but the main reason Verizon needs this site is for added capacity. State Route 156 is a pretty major thoroughfare, and the coverage from the towers don't give enough signal in that area, so this tower relieves that problem. So the tower up on Hill Park here, there's two towers right across the street, basically. Verizon's on one of those towers. That is the tower that's overloaded because it's also serving downtown Hollister. So when people in downtown Hollister are using their phone, it's taken away from people that are trying to use it elsewhere off this tower here. And so the signal's lost down where we're proposing. So it's a capacity and a coverage site. That's why it's needed. It's not just coverage. You may not have seen a lot of difference in the colored maps. There was some, but not as much as you might otherwise see. It's because this was mainly a capacity map. So in order to show that, if you look at the packet that was just handed out, behind the colored maps, you'll see these. There's 3 of these. This shows the capacity issue. So that is Verizon's coverage off the Hill Park site, and it shows it at the 3 frequencies that Verizon is allowed to operate under the FCC. The more fluctuation in those colored lines, the bigger problems you have, right? You have spikes when users are using it. When we drop calls, people can't call if they're broken down the side of the road. First responders who use Verizon's network can't get through. You want those colored lines to be as straight as possible. So at the different frequencies that Verizon operates, 850 megahertz, 700 megahertz, and at the AWS frequency, you don't get that. That causes the problem, which shows the capacity need. By adding this site, those lines will even out, and you'll have constant, consistent coverage without the issues they're having in the area where we're proposing the tower. So in order to get a tower built, we've got to have 4 things, right? We have to have a willing landowner. We've got to be able to solve the engineering problem, the capacity issue, which this location does. The Baines have agreed to lease us their property. We have to have a site that's constructible, right? No big ravines or cliffs on the property that we can't get to where the tower's going. And then it needs to work within the local ordinance. Your ordinance, as Michael pointed out, has several factors and aspects that we need to meet. We meet all of those aspects. We're not asking for any waivers for this site. It's an industrial property. We meet the setbacks, we meet the height requirements, and we propose the stealth design. So because of that, we think we've satisfied the requirements in the ordinance. Staff agrees with us. You also have these pages in the packet which talk about alternative sites. The first page talks about those 2 towers that I mentioned within 2 miles, where Verizon's already a tenant on them. But then instead of just going to this one property owner, Mr. Lewis's team did talk to several property owners, and you have another page called Alternative Sites, which talks about the outreach to property owners who either didn't respond or the ones that responded when we took their sites, their land back to the location, back to Verizon Engineering. There was some issue with the signal that didn't solve the engineering problem with that location. So what it gets down to is this ended up being the only location where we can get this capacity problem fixed. So there were several conditions put out in the resolution. We agreed to all the conditions. We meet the FCC guidelines for emissions. We work through the ordinance to meet all the conditional use permit findings. And because of that, we think we hopefully we should be granted this permit. But if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer. And Mr. Lewis is here also if there's some questions that he can better answer.
Thank you. And so before we move into questions for the applicant or for staff, let's see. I was going to say, yeah, let's go ahead and open it up for questions from the commission or for the applicant or for staff, and then we'll move into public comment on this item. So please, if you have questions.
I just have a comment that in previous applications, we've said that we do not like monopoles. However, we haven't been able to update the ordinance because of staff issues, and obviously now that's compounded fivefold. So we may never get it updated, but I think the majority of us do not support monopoles. I'm sure they're cheaper to build and the lease is less, but they are generally hideous and they don't fit into our community.
The monopole or the monopine we're proposing?
Both.
Okay.
Generally, you come up with a monopine. We do have one monopole in Tres Pinos, and it looks like,
The old Ranch Road site?
no, at the 19th hole,
Gotcha.
it looks like a stick.
Can I ask what the difference is between a monopine and a monopole?
It's just the design.
Yeah.
Just the way it looks.
The monopine that we're proposing is a monopole with fake branches and fake
Yeah.
needles. That's what it is. And the reason they work from an engineering perspective, at least, is because you can add the additional carriers without it looking like their antennas on there, because that signal can get through where the branches are. There's an engineering reason. I'm not saying it looks good or bad. I have my own opinion too, so I get what you're saying. But the ordinance drove us that way, and because we saw one old ranch that was approved in 2023, we felt like we were meeting the intent of the ordinance. So that was the idea behind it.
And then, everybody has their own opinion. I like those way better than the other option for a couple of reasons. I believe they're sturdier. You can add on them and make them taller.
Yep.
Right? How tall can you make? This says to be 100 feet.
Yes.
Could you make it taller? With I don't know what OD or the size of the pole's going to be. I'm sure that matters.
Yes.
But on this particular one, it says 100 feet. Can you go taller?
You can go taller. It's built in sections, so you can add sections,
And the next section would be a smaller.
like a 20-foot section. And we'd add additional branches
That's
to that.
planned right into the engineering of these things.
If you notice these things, they go up with the branches and they start to taper.
Yeah.
You just have to move all that up a little bit. So you'd move the tapered branches up to the top next stage you put up, and you'd fill in the middle with the regular size that extend out to keep the look.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. And,
There's some madness behind it, believe it or not.
okay, and an observation along those lines with regard to the appearance. Yeah, I understand why you went with the monopine based on our ordinances. I do think it's kind of ironic that in this particular case, a monopine is going to look more out of place in an industrial area than if it had been not a tree.
I have had situations before, and we certainly would offer that up here. If you guys would rather us not put the branches on and just keep
Not
the
saying that.
monopole, it's less to look at, but it's, again, a matter of
I
opinion.
think the branches add a little something, and I also think
Yeah.
that that is as industrial as an area as you can get.
Yeah, it is.
So
Sure.
Sure.
I do have a
please.
question. Is there another design you can put out there besides this hideous-looking pine tree?
I mean, we've looked at palm trees, but it's basically trees, and we used to try and do flagpoles, but we can't fit the equipment on the straight, which is it's the pole, basically, but the antennas don't stick out as far. But we can't really use those anymore because the technology has taken the equipment to where the antennas stick out too far in order to avoid interference. So this is basically the option, and that's why they're in the ordinance, really. We see them quite often this way. But there's really no other way that we can get all three carriers, which the ordinance requires us to build it for, to then get the signal from an engineering standpoint.
It's just hideous.
I mean, what are
I'll
the
withhold
options?
comment.
The options, I think, are a fake water tower. What are the options we have? A fake water tower
That wouldn't work here.
is one, won't work. The
There's a windmill in Gilroy that
four-legged
looks really cool.
PG&E looking thing, which is really hideous.
That's a last
What
shot.
are the other options?
There's a windmill in Gilroy that looks really cool, but that wouldn't fit here either, unfortunately.
I mean,
There's a dairy in Gilroy that has one that's it's a windmill.
if there was
It looks
something that looked
sweet.
better, I'd be all for it, but I don't think there is.
There isn't, but this is hideous.
Okay. Well, before we get into too much conversation within the commission as opposed to questions, we do need to open up for public comment before too long. Is there additional questions from the commission before we do that? Okay, let's open it up for public comment then, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The San Benito County Planning Commission welcomes your comments. Each individual speaker will be limited to a presentation total of 3 minutes. When addressing the commission via Zoom, phone, or in chambers, please state your name and county in which you reside for the record. Please address the commission as a whole through the chair. And if participating via Zoom, select the Participants tab and click the raise hand icon. If you are using a phone, please press *9 to raise your hand. When your turn arrives, you will hear that you have been unmuted. If you are participating in person at the chambers, please complete a speaker card identifying the item on which you wish to speak and provide your commented card to the clerk prior to consideration of the item. Speaker cards are available on the table and at the entrance of the chambers. I do not have any speaker cards, and let me check on Zoom. I do not have anybody on Zoom. Does anybody? Oh, we have one. Come on, you could come on. Gustavo Lopez Jr.
Hello. My concern is I know that these towers give off radiation, and during the pictures that they showed the wrecking yard, which I live right next to, and that tower would be directly behind my home. I would walk out my back door and look directly to it. I have 2 third graders, 2 kinders that are out there, and my concern is the health issues that those raise up. You know, that's my main concern. You know, and plus they really don't look too cool either. And I wouldn't like to walk out my backyard and see one of those. You know, so that's my main concern is the health. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there additional public comment?
Is anybody else in the audience would like to comment? No additional public comments.
Okay, then bringing it back to the commission for discussion and possible action. I do note that I don't believe that we are allowed to consider radiation as long as the tower is within the federal, not guidelines is not the right word because that's too nebulous, but regulations within the federal limits. I don't think we're allowed to deny it based upon radiation. Is that?
You were correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All right, then discussion or possible action? Anybody? No strong opinions? Well, I mean, we can make a motion if we're at the position to do that.
I think that I'd like to make a motion that we move this forward. And I mean, like I said, I think it's unfortunately by this gentleman's house, but I think it meets all the criteria that we've talked about before. So I'd like to make a motion that we move, that we accept this and resolution and move it forward.
Okay, just to clarify, by move it forward, we're not talking about continuing it to a future date. We're talking about approving it. Yep.
I'll use that word. I'll make a motion to approve this.
Okay. Is there a second on that? Well, hearing none, I'll second it. I guess we need a roll call.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. We'll start with Commissioner Vincent Rinhayden,
Yes.
Commissioner Richard Way,
Yes.
Commissioner Robert Scagliotti,
No.
Commissioner Robert Gibson,
No.
Commissioner Bobby Thomason.
I hesitate. I'm going to say no.
Motion does not pass.
Okay, thank you. moving on to.
Mr. Chair, I'd recommend that you direct staff
findings.
to come back with findings for denial.
Yes, yeah. Can we have staff come back with findings for denial? Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
thank you.
Does that need to be in the form of a motion?
The vote was already taken. I believe consensus can work.
Okay.
Yeah, in the past, we haven't traditionally.
Then I would agree to
Good.
ask staff to bring it back with findings.
Okay,
For
You also-
denial.
okay, makes sense. All right. Okay, moving on to item 7.3, which is about the zoning, potential changes to the zoning code, zoning ordinances.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. In 2022, staff worked with the San Benito County Planning Commission and also the Board of Supervisors to repeal and replace Title 25, the zoning code of the San Benito County Code of Ordinances. And since then, the staff, along with the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors, go ahead.
I apologize. There was a request that we have a brief recess prior to considering the next item, and I totally forgot that there was that request pending. So if we could do that for, I don't know, 10 minutes. Yeah, let's say 10 minutes to give everybody a chance to have a brief break. I'm sorry. And we stand in recess.
Can't see if there's anybody.
Yeah. We can have CMAP please put the PowerPoint.
Well, it may be partly my fault because I did not time the 10 minutes and it's possible that it hasn't expired. I don't know. There we go.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. Sure, it'll be coming up right now. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, members of the Planning Commission. In 2022, staff worked with the Planning Commission and with the Board of Supervisors to repeal and replace Title 25, the zoning code of the San Benito County Code of Ordinances. And soon after that, the staff and Planning Commission have identified portions of the county zoning code that should require further amendments. And so therefore, staff, along with the Planning Commission and the board, have worked on some of these amendments since 2023. And the revisions were made available to the public first in March of 2024, then in May of 2024, and in November of 2024. In fact, on November 6th of 2024, the Planning Commission approved a resolution recommending to the Board of Supervisors a number of zoning amendments, including the ones that you will see here, and they're included in your packet as Exhibit A of your resolution. And these are just some of them. From November 2024 through March of 2025, staff had 3 public hearings with the Board of Supervisors, and staff received comment from the Board of Supervisors, and essentially, in brief, County Council has indicated that only those zoning amendments that have been directed by the board can return to the board for consideration. So these are some of the amendments that have been discussed previously by the Planning Commission and by the Board of Supervisors. And they're not all of them, but there are sections of them. And back in November, 2 months ago, and then last month in December, your Planning Commission asked or directed staff to bring in sections of these zoning codes from time to time to get them moved forward to the board for eventually consideration and adoption. And that's what we're doing here today. So with that, I will present some of these codes, and we can either do it as, slide by slide, or if you want, I can go through the presentation, and then if you have questions, we can come back to them, however you prefer. And just so you know, as you see on the screen, each will have the section of the code that we're referring to in regards to the amendment, and then it will have the existing language of the code, and then it would have the proposed language. The proposed language is going to be in red font, and if there's any existing language that's going to be removed or proposed to be removed with the amendment, it's going to have a strike through, such as you see in the screen with the example word there that it's in red with a strike through. And then each also has a reason for the amendment, and it's all in your packet included in Exhibit A.
If I could interject, just as a proposal, I think it would make sense to allow the commission to ask questions as he goes along, because we're not going to remember necessarily. I mean, obviously we can take notes, but it'll be, I think, easier to clear things up if we ask you as the things occur to us, bearing in mind that we also don't want to needlessly delay the public comment section of the meeting. But nonetheless, we need the opportunity to ask questions. So, yeah, let's do that, and if it turns out to be untenable, then we'll go with Plan B. But at least initially, let's allow commissioners to ask questions during his presentation.
Makes total sense. Thank you for indicating that, Chairway. Appreciate that. So with that, we'll start with the first set of amendments, and essentially it's three amendments. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. Number 1, Section 2501.006, authority. Number 2, C4, and number 3, D. It's all just correcting the title of the planning director. Per law, the title is Director of Planning and Building. So just to be consistent throughout the code, the planning is being stricken out, and then it's being fixed as Director of Planning and Building, or you'll see it as just simply Director, and in the at the end in the definitions, there is a definition for director, which indicates the proper word. And you'll see later on, there's also proper words for planning commission as opposed to just commission. So those are the first 3. Any questions or comments on that? Now I can move forward to the next one. And there's about 40 or so. Number 4, Section 2501-007, Public Hearing Procedures. We're adding note number 7, as previously discussed with the Planning Commission and the Board. Number 7 indicates if the Board of Supervisors denies an application, the applicant may refile the application with all required forms and fees after 2 years following the denial action and must address any findings made in the denial resolution. This is essentially a cool-off period of 2 years, and yes, let's look at that really fast. Thank you for that. Hello, can CMAP hear me in regards to the audio on Zoom?
Testing, testing. Can you hear us?
Yeah, can the Zoom folks hear us now?
Carl? Yeah, any better? Working, okay, it's working.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for that, Commissioner Gibson. Appreciate that. I want to make sure everybody is on board. So going back to amendment number 4, it's essentially a cool-off period of 2 years, and the applicant cannot come back until 2 years after the Board of Supervisors if their project has been denied to resubmit, and if it's resubmitted, they have to respond to all the findings.
That's the clear meaning of this paragraph, but it's not the literal. Literally, it says that the applicant can refile after 2 years. It doesn't say that they cannot refile until 2 years. I mean, we all know that that's what the intent is, but is that something to worry about? I mean, the wording? I'm asking counsel.
Let me look at it real quick.
Yeah. It's on 155 of our packet. Well, I'm sorry, 106, it's probably also on 106, yes. Yeah, it's in both places. Yeah, one is part of the presentation, the other one is part of the actual, code. I mean, I worry too much sometimes, but I think any judge any sane judge would interpret it the way it was meant.
Yeah, I think the wording actually makes sense. I think that's the clear intent. I don't think it's ambiguous at all.
Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Thank you for raising that, Chairway. On to number 5. Number 5, Section 2501-008, appeals. In this particular case, we want to make sure that if anybody appeals a decision, that along with the written statement and filing fees, that also the amendment would include a written statement clearly indicating the grounds for appeal. The language is clearly indicating, clarifying the grounds for appeal, but clarifying should be removed. So it would be just a written statement clearly indicating the grounds for appeal. Mm-hmm. That's it. It will make it easier for staff to be able to understand exactly why there's an appeal, so we can respond to that appeal. Number 6, appeals again, appeal planning commission decisions. It's just essentially
500.
the change of the planning director's title. Number 7, Section 2501-12, non-conforming uses, structures, and sites. Essentially, currently the code as it reads, this section states non-conforming uses shall not expand in intensity and or physical footprint. However, a little bit further down, the code actually allows for certain expansion of a non-conforming structure as long as it meets required site improvements. So therefore currently there's inconsistencies there. So all we're doing is adding language that says except as provided in table 25.01b. And 25.01b indicates the potential increases of a non-conforming and what the site improvements would be required for the applicant to do. And the next section is just that this same table, 25.01B, in the code, it's not labeled. It doesn't have a number. So amendment number 8 is just to label the table 25.01B. And it makes sense because the previous table is 25.01A. So it makes sense to just keep it in sequence, and this table would now be 25.01B. That's the only amendment. We'll get into the land uses in a little bit. These are just kind of inconsistencies that we want to make sure that we clear up. And you've all previously seen these as well. Amendment number 9, section 2501.12, non-conforming uses. We want to add letter I, which indicates decisions related to non-conforming uses, structures, and sites may be appealed as established in table 2501A, review authorities. And all it is that if a decision was made by the planning department, administrative approval, then it would essentially become appealable to the planning commission if an appeal comes in. And if a decision comes into the planning commission, is made by the planning commission, and somebody wants to appeal, it would be appealable, bless you, to the board of supervisors. So that's number 9. It's just clarifying language. Number 10, section 250201, development review. It's just, again, the title of the planning director, modifying that, making sure it's consistent. Number 11, section 2502.001, development review, threshold types of development plan review. This table here shows, for example, the first column, exempt zoning, essentially for structures that may just require a zoning clearance or a building permit, not a discretionary approval, not to come before the planning commission or administrative. The second column, minor development plan review, is for example, for buildings that are 2,501 square feet to 5,000. Those are a little bit bigger. Those would require an administrative permit review, not just the building permit. And then anything larger than 5,001 square feet would require a conditional use permit by the planning commission. So that's what's stated now. Note number 3, the amendment consists of note number 3, which indicates additional discretionary review may be required if these thresholds are exceeded. See the land use tables in chapter 2503 for uses that may require additional review. All that it means is that, for example, if there's somebody who's proposing a 2,499 square foot building that just requires a building permit, but the actual land use requires in table 25.03 requires a conditional use permit. That just means that, even if the building itself would be exempt from a conditional use permit, because the land use would require a CUP, it would have to come before the commission. It's all just to clarify. And then the second, under agricultural and industrial structures, barns, garages, workshops would be removed or eliminated, as you can see through the cross-out, and then replaced with agricultural buildings. And there's a definition of agricultural buildings that is being proposed. Number 12, 13, and 14, they're all just clarifying of the planning director for legal purposes. Nothing else is changing there. 15 is the same, and 16 and 17 are clarifying the title of the planning commission. Currently just says commission, and for legal purposes, we want to make sure that it states planning commission. Now we're getting to the land uses. So now we start the land uses for number 18 amendment. For it, basically, we're going into the agricultural districts. Later on, we'll go to the residential, then commercial, and then industrial. So in ag, the land use of Future Farmers of America or 4-H projects were eliminated, conducted by residents of the premises. Essentially, this amendment clarifies that FFA projects in AR and AP zoning districts do not need to be exclusively conducted by residents of the premises. And number 19, it's currently, it just indicates winery, and it's allowed with an administrative permit in the agricultural and all agricultural zoning districts. And we will be adding with this amendment, brewery, distillery, and also the phrase may include tasting room, and it's all administrative. Any questions or comments on that before we move to the next? Number 20, sale of agricultural products. It's going to be amended to eliminate the phrase products not produced in San Benito County, and that's going to be replaced by tagged and feed supplies. And it's all administrative, and that's not changing. And zoning amendment 21, essentially number 20 is replacing 21. Number 22, section 2503-004, still in agricultural and rural districts, off-site tasting room. If anybody proposes an off-site tasting room, then it can be permitted in the agricultural rangeland, agricultural productive, and rural with a conditional use permit. Planning Commission. Questions?
Yes. So it's been an eternity since we discussed this ad nauseum, and I can't remember why we made certain changes. But if you have a winery, brewery, or distillery with a tasting, which may have a tasting room, it's allowed on the parcel. But what's to say in a second parcel, or if you don't even have a winery, maybe your grapes or your winery is somewhere else in the county,
Correct.
but on a different lot that makes sense where there's tourists.
Correct.
Why can't you have a tasting room? Why do you have to go through a CUP? I've been wondering if anybody else remembers why we made that a CUP as opposed to allowed. If we're claiming we're tourism friendly, I think that should be changed to allowed. My opinion.
I don't remember the reason. I do remember discussing it, but that doesn't help.
No, that was 2 years ago. It's been a while.
A long time. I thought we removed that. To go back just to the other ordinance, to the section 19.
Removed the,
Offsite. Well, that would just get rid of it completely. Then it wouldn't be allowed.
We don't want to do that.
No. Yeah. Somebody wants to do a tasting room in Tres Pinos. Why make them go through the rigmarole just because they're not producing the alcohol on site? We claim we do. Right now, we're looking at bankruptcy, so I say we change all those 3 Cs to 3 As.
I'd be fine with that.
I'm good.
I agree.
There's consensus.
Okay.
That would need to come in the form of a motion after public comment.
Right,
Yes.
okay.
All right.
Just making a note here. Off-site tasting room. Mr. Chair, and Commissioner Gibson is correct. I mean, it's A on all others, so it makes sense to keep it as A here. So I made a note on it here, and then at the end, if you make it part of your motion, that would be great. Number 23, zoning amendment number 23. Essentially, this is the cannabis uses in the agricultural and rural districts. I'm sorry, it's a little small here. We didn't get the PowerPoint. We got the PDF. But essentially, this keeps it consistent to the ordinance that was adopted in November of 2024 by the Board of Supervisors, which essentially updates Chapter 19.43 of the San Benito County Code for cannabis regulations and Chapter 7 for cannabis as well. And what it does is currently, because of that November 2024 ordinance adoption, that took, for example, cultivation from a conditional use permit to a permitted use in the AR, AP, and AR and AP districts, and distribution as permitted in the AR and AP districts, and retail permitted in the AR and AP districts, and microbusiness conditional use permit in the AR and AP districts. So all this is doing is just making an internal consistency with the current 19.43 chapter of the San Benito County Code and Chapter 7 as well.
Okay. I just have one comment.
Sure.
It's unclear to me. I'm not an attorney, thankfully, but in the top section, you have all the red dashes, so it crossed it all out. And then you have the formatting where it shows a row that separates it into something new. And then we have cultivation of cannabis includes indoor, outdoor, and mixed light. But there is nothing there saying that it's P. And I just want to be clear that we want those to be P. Move those Ps down to the following row.
Good.
It's more clear that instead of just having nothing, that it's
Good
more
catch.
clear that going forward, what we're actually trying to accomplish.
Good catch, Commissioner Gibson, and that's the intent of this. This line here, I don't know if you can see it. The line in between should not be there, and you're absolutely right. Its cultivation would be P on AR and AP. So thank you for that clarification.
That's all I have. I'm good to go.
Number 24. Put this back. Agricultural and rural district short-term rental. It's permitted in all of the agricultural zoning districts, and on the transitional and supportive housing land use, we're also including assisted living and residential care facilities all in P as well. That's permitted. Number 26. Private outdoor camping facilities, we're including yurts, glamping, tents, dry RVs, and low-impact camping as permitted, as required by the low-impact camping ordinance. And on number 27, the existing hobby kennel land use, it's also going to include pet shops, commercial kennels within, and it's all going to be administrative as well. Number 28, now we're going into the residential zones. Short-term rental, again, permitted in the RR, R1, and RM zoning districts, all the residential zoning districts of the county. And transition and supportive housing will include also assisted living and residential care facilities as permitted as well.
Abraham,
Yes.
do we don't still have R1, do we? R1 is gone, isn't it?
That's been discussed, but it hasn't. It's part of the discussions that
But
were.
it's still in our codes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
you're absolutely right. Yeah, there's been about 3 different public hearings between November of 2024 and March of 2025, and those discussions by the board also included potentially removal of single family, but that's not included in these zoning.
Okay, well, as long as it's still on the books, obviously we need to accommodate it, so. yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Number 30, Section 2503005, commercial kennel in the RR would be allowed with an administrative permit review. It has a minimum lot size. And on the hobby kennels, on amendment number 31, it would be administratively allowed in the RR with the minimum lot size of 2.5 acres. Number 32, pet shops would be allowed in the neighborhood commercial C2 under a conditional use permit, and under commercial cannabis C1 and C2 retail would be permitted as well, and that's to be consistent with Title 19, Chapter 19.43, and Title 7 of the code. Again, on the cannabis, it would be also under the business park and light industrial manufacturing, and the brewery, distillery, winery, which may include tasting room in the business park, light industrial, and heavy industrial. It's actually the administrative approval would be removed, and it would be a permitted use. Number 36, Section 2507007, currently under development standards for accessory structures, a accessory structure can be up to 1,000 square feet in the residential zoning districts, and anything larger would require an administrative permit review. This zoning code amendment would allow it to go up to 2,500 square feet, and anything larger would require an administrative permit review. Number 37, there's discussion on motor vehicle repair and storage in residential areas. So essentially, motor vehicle repair work may be performed only on a motor vehicle registered to a person residing on the lot. Also, disabled or inoperative vehicles shall be stored in areas screened from public view and from adjacent properties. No more than 2 disabled or inoperative vehicles are allowed to be stored or worked on per lot. In addition to the above restrictions, the following shall apply to all lots that are less than 1 gross acre in area. That's at all motor vehicles, body parts, equipment, machinery, tools, or other metal materials of any kind shall be stored within a screened or enclosed area. And all work performed on a motor vehicle shall be permitted only during the hours of 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. And for those properties that are 10 acres or less, work cannot extend over a period of 72 hours unless the vehicle is moved to an area behind the front yard setback, which is not visible from the front property line. Amendment number 38, section 2508002, accessory dwelling units would allow for, currently the code allows for 1 accessory dwelling unit as required by state law. This would allow for 2 ADUs on a lot. Section number 39, or amendment number 39, section 2508012 provides a definition for commercial kennels as defined as the keeping of 5 or more adult dogs, the keeping of 12 or more puppies, and in the case under the age of 12 months, 9 or more adult cats, and the keeping of 12 or more kittens under the age of 12 months.
Abraham,
Yes.
you could have a hobby kennel where you kept 4 adult dogs, 11 puppies, 8 adult cats, and 11 kittens. And, I mean, you could have all 4 of those things and still be considered a hobby kennel.
This one's a commercial one. The hobby kennel, let me see.
Yeah, well, a commercial kennel is if they keep more than any of these things, like keeping
Yes.
more adult dogs, you're a commercial kennel. If you keep 12 or more puppies, you're a commercial kennel.
You got it.
My question is,
Yes.
let's say I want to set up a hobby kennel. Under this regulation, it seems like I could do it and I could still keep 4, 15, 23, 33, 34 animals in my hobby kennel. Because I could have 4 adult dogs, 11 puppies,
Correct.
8 adult cats, and 11 kittens.
Hallelujah.
Correct.
Isn't it meant to be one, like, I mean, it's not all of these, you can't add, it needs just to be clarified, I think, right?
You're gonna make people pick which animals they love?
Well, I'm just pointing out that, I mean, it seems like a loophole to me, but I don't know. Maybe it's not worth worrying about.
No, I don't think we want to get into which animal you have to pick, or if you can have 4 cats and 2 dogs, or.
But we could set a total number of animals before, we could say, however, in no case can you exceed a total of X number of animals and still be considered a hobby kennel. That's all I'm arguing.
It seems a little excessive if one person can have a hobby kennel, and I live next door and he's got 5 dogs, 12 puppies, all the cats and all the stuff.
Wouldn't it fall under a nuisance or something?
We do have number 41. It's going to go all into those requirements of how how it should be upkept, setbacks, all of the details, and maybe we can go through that, and then you can decide if we need to maybe change it or put a limit, like you said. I mean, those are all good questions, and that's what we're here. If we need to make any changes, we can.
How many parakeets can I have?
In a kennel? As many as, no,
Which
never mind.
gender?
Was that the intent, though, that they could actually have all of these? It's not just they get to have either one or this or one or that, not to pick one animal over the other, but is that the intent, that they could have 5, 12, 9, and 12 different animals as a hobby?
Let me look at the
If you
definition.
have 160 acres, it might make sense. I mean, you can't make an ordinance for you can't make one for Ridgemark and one for the unincorporated rest of the county, the rural part. I mean, you kind of have to just leave things to common sense. And if there's an issue, code enforcement can try to address it.
Yeah, but I mean, code enforcement can only enforce the code by definition. So if the code is flawed, then
Well, if the animals aren't being taken care of, they can
well,
go after
certainly
that
yes.
side of it.
Yeah,
But I don't-
I'm more concerned that somebody might try to, squeeze in as a hobby kennel, saying, "Oh no, this is just a hobby kennel," and in reality they are a commercial kennel, but they just are just below the limits for. I just wish we had a limit on total number of animals. But I'm sorry, I'm getting into the weeds. We haven't even done public comment, so sorry. I'll withdraw my issue. It was meant to be more of a question. Anyway,
No
sorry.
worries, you're fine, Chairway. And like I said, when we go into I was thinking of just doing the highlights of the kennels and pet shops, but because we've seen it in the past. But I think I'm gonna go into them since there's questions about this. Kind of go into them a little bit more in depth because it looks like it is. In reading this, is highly regulated, and code enforcement can take a look at all of these. Code enforcement would have the ability to go in and regulate them and inspect them as well. So so with that, that's the next section, and that's section 25080012. Kennels and pet shops. So under D, requirements for operation of commercial kennels and hobby kennels. So what this, it basically indicates D2, commercial and hobby kennels require a manager on the premises at all times if the kennels will be open to the public. D3, the manager shall be responsible for the conduct of all employees and volunteers to ensure that all requirements are being followed. D4, provides provisions for the maximum number of animals authorized to be maintained on the premises. D5, provisions that indicate that the operator should report in writing any changes in address, ownership, or management to the director or his or her designee at least 15 days prior to such change. And D6, provisions for maintaining a register of the names and addresses of persons from whom animals have been received and shall be available upon request. So these are just some of them. D7. A copy of these regulations shall be issued to each applicant for a permit. The applicant shall acknowledge such receipt. Commercial kennel shall be issued the county's regulations for the use of a hobby commercial kennel, and the applicant shall acknowledge receipt and agree to comply. D8, the permit shall be displayed in the office, reception, or other accessible area for inspection. D9, all operators consent to the entry of the director, code enforcement, or county pond master for the purposes of conducting inspections as it may be required, and the inspections must be conducted with the operator or manager present. D10, operators shall comply with operations, and D11, commercial kennels and hobby kennels shall comply with additional regulations such as lot size requirements and the San Benito County Code. So those are all just under the proposed requirements for operation of commercial kennels and hobby kennels under D.
I just have one comment.
Yeah.
On the slide prior to this, it said the inspections shall, where's the language? The manager or operator shall be present. So if they just refuse to show up, you can't inspect the facility? I mean, there has to be, it shouldn't be a shall, because then they can just say, well, I can't be there, I'm sorry, maybe next year. It doesn't make a lot of sense on the county's part that the manager or operator shall be there for an inspection. I think
What page is that of our?
It says 119 is what I'm looking at.
Oh, okay, all right.
It's under
On the paperwork.
D9, yeah.
Does county council have any suggestion for making that workable on the county's behalf if the operator manager doesn't want to comply?
Give me one moment. The preceding sentence is operative to allow entry regardless of whether a operator or manager is present. You could do several things with the sentence. You could strike the last sentence.
That's the easiest one.
That is the easiest one.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, his or her judgment, yeah.
That works.
Council, would that include an employee just at the desk or whatever too then? Because you're taking out the operator or manager present?
Right.
So the designee is
the
basically anybody
designee
that's
or
working.
really whoever's on the premises. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm making a note of that. Very well. So that is D, and now we're going into E. E is the structural requirements for commercial kennels and hobby kennels. So this is E, and it goes all the way through J actually. So E. E1 requires a 75-foot minimum setback from any residence. E1A, the commercial or hobby kennel shall be constructed in such a manner and of such material as to facilitate daily cleaning. Materials that do not absorb liquids such as concrete, plastic coated panels, non-porous epoxy coating, for example. E2, requirement of a minimum of 6 foot in height non-transparent fence. E3, similar to E1A, floor shall be of a material such as concrete, epoxy, or similar. E4, walls should be formica, tile, etc., at least 2 feet from the floor. It can be different above that, but at least 2 feet from the floor. E5, construction shall follow the San Benito County Building Code, which is the same as the California Uniform Building Code. That's for structural requirements for commercial kennels and hobby kennels.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize my mic wasn't on. Sorry to interrupt again. It seems odd to me that item 1A is subordinate to item 1. I mean, it's a minor point, but I don't see that A has anything to do with item 1. It seems like A should have been 2, and the rest of them should have been 3, 4, 5, etc.
We can make that change if that's.
I don't know. It just seems like it doesn't have anything to do with item 1.
Yeah.
You know?
E1A, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
It's okay. So that was E. F is indoor commercial kennels and hobby kennel standards. So now it's indoor commercial kennels and hobby kennel standards. So F1 indicates that the kennels shall be sufficiently heated when necessary to protect the animals from the cold and provide for their health and comfort. F2, in the same category of health and comfort, kennels shall be adequately ventilated. F3, kennels shall have ample and well-distributed light by natural or artificial means. F4, interior surfaces of kennels shall be constructed to be impervious to moisture and may be readily sanitized. F5, plumbing shall be properly installed and kept in good repair to avoid any potential foul odors. And that's F, indoor commercial kennels and hobby kennel standards. Any questions or comments from the commission on F before we go to G? G, outdoor now, outdoor commercial kennels and hobby kennel standards. So G1 addresses shading for outdoor uses for protection from the sun. G2 addresses requirements of access to shelter for the animals to allow them to remain dry during inclement weather. And G3 addresses clean bedding material or other means of protection from the weather when temperature falls below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Any questions or comments on G before we move on to H? H, dog enclosure construction. So H1A addresses adequate square footage space per enclosure, whether it is one dog per enclosure or multiple dogs per enclosure, and provides an example for the minimum size allowed. So there's a calculation in 1A that indicates the minimum size of the enclosure if it's for one dog, or the minimum size for the enclosure if it's for multiple dogs. H1B addresses height for enclosures with a minimum of 60 inches. H1C addresses additional floor space for each puppy for female dogs with nursing puppies. So it should be bigger. It says 5%, additional 5% for each puppy that's being nursed. H1D addresses compatible dogs being housed together to fulfill their social and behavioral needs unless a dog requires to be housed separately due to health or temperament issues. And essentially all this information here between H1A through H1D is summarized in table 25.08A on floor space, vertical space, and floor space for nursing doggies. Dog enclosure construction under subsection H continues. H2A, B, and C address the type of material that should be used to assure that the kennels should be able to be properly cleaned and sanitized, such as 2A, concrete or other non-porous material with a slope to drain, or B, pea gravel or other suitable material of sufficient thickness and over an adequately porous base to assure that all liquids are readily drained away and that solid material can be readily removed and properly disposed of. Subsection H continues with 3A. Regular housing requires that each dog be housed in a minimum square footage such that the dog can turn about freely and easily stand, jump, sit, or lie in a comfortable position. 3B addresses temporary housing for animals being transported or otherwise temporarily housed for not more than 72 hours. Must have sufficient space to allow each dog to turn freely and to easily stand, sit, and lie in a comfortable position, and shall be moved to a larger area of not less than 16 square feet periodically. And number 4 indicates that enclosures shall be maintained in good repair to protect dogs from injury and to keep predators out, and shall have convenient access to clean drinking water. So from H, we go into I, cat enclosure construction. I1 indicates enclosure shall be constructed to effectively enclose cat's house within. I2, enclosure shall allow observation and handling of cats and also ease of cleaning. I3, there should be elevated solid resting shelves within the enclosure to comfortably hold all cats. I4, enclosure shall be floored in a manner which assures that all waste material can be easily removed. And I5, the enclosure shall contain clean drinking water and sufficient clean litter. That's for cat enclosure construction under subsection I. And finally, section J for kennels. It's maintenance requirements for commercial and hobby kennels. J1 indicates that kennels shall be cleaned daily. J2 addresses solid waste material proper disposal. J3 indicates that all wastewater from the commercial or hobby kennels and other facilities shall be disposed of by means of a connection to a sanitary sewer or into an approved septic tank system. J4, insecticidal sprays and disinfectants shall be used to control fly accumulation, the spread of disease, and offensive odor. J5, food shall be stored in a metal or heavy-duty waterproof plastic container with tight-fitting lids to prevent rodent infestation. J6, a continuous rodent control program shall be maintained. And J7, the San Benito County Code stipulates that all dogs over the age of 4 months shall be vaccinated against rabies and be licensed. And that's it for the kennels. Any questions before we go into definitions?
Yes. The business about the dogs needing to be vaccinated against rabies and licensed, certainly they need to be vaccinated against rabies. My issue is dogs coming from out of county. Is this regulation going to require that they be licensed by San Benito County, or is it just sufficient that they have a license in the county in which they're coming from? I hope it's the latter.
We can make that as a stipulation if that's...
It could be clarified, but I think the plain reading is a license from anywhere.
Okay, then that's fine. Thank you.
That makes sense.
Abraham, I have a question on the vaccines. Shouldn't they be vaccinated for parvo too? All that? Because when I take my dogs, they get checked for parvo, heartworm. I mean...
That's a good question, Commissioner Scagliotti. And where it says shall be vaccinated, and it does stipulate against rabies, just specifically rabies, but there's others as well. So we could be more specific, or we could just indicate
it should be
in general.
up to date on all vaccines.
Yeah.
Is that okay, Council? How would you do it?
I don't know, because I'm not really familiar with dog vaccines. It does read only rabies as it's written.
Is there anybody in the audience that knows? Would you come up with a thing?
We're not in public comment yet.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We're
Later.
going to have to wait.
That's a good question, though. That hopefully we'll get it clarified right now.
I will say, though, generally, when you're writing code, if you start listing things, that's usually not the best way to go about it. It's better if you can have a more generalized term. That way, in case you miss something, it's not excluded.
Like I said, up to date on all vaccines. So,
Like-
I don't know the exact wording you want. but
I'll
give
think
you a
on
minute
it.
to think about it.
Yeah, on all recommended or required, well, we can't say required because this is the requirement. Recommended, veterinarily recommended vaccines. Okay. Yeah.
On the housing, my cat loves a cardboard box. I think that'll work.
All cats do. I've seen photos of tigers in cardboard boxes.
Section 2509002 definitions. There's a lot more definitions that you've seen in the past few months, over a year now, that we've been kind of going back and forth with the zoning updates. But these are the ones that are connected to the overall zoning amendments that we're bringing before you today. Some are just changing a bit of the definitions. Some are the ones all in red are strictly new definitions. For example, just on adult cat and adult dogs, it's just to indicate 12 months in there that are over 12 months would be considered adult. And then the new definitions are agricultural building, animal control officer, assisted living, brewery. Let me see if I can make this. Congregate care. We have distillery, emergency housing, kennel commercial, kennel hobby, low impact camping, tasting room, temporary sleeping accommodations, and venue are all the definitions that are included here. So that's a summary of the section of the zoning amendments that we brought before you today. Certainly we can come back with additional ones that we have that have been thoroughly vetted through the Planning Commission and the board. And we also have some that still the board has had questions on that they want to resolve before bringing before the Planning Commission. So with that, staff recommends the Planning Commission of the County of San Benito approve the attached resolution, hereby recommending that the Board of Supervisors adopt the attached proposed ordinance provisions to amend the current Title 25 of the County Code, including chapters 2501, 02, 03, 07, 08, and 09 as identified in Exhibit 8 of this resolution. Are there any additional questions?
Okay, then let's go ahead and open it up for public comment.
San Benito County Planning Commission welcomes your comments. Each individual speaker will be limited to a presentation of a total of 3 minutes. When addressing the commission via Zoom, phone, or in chambers, please state your name and county in which you reside. For the record, please address the commission as a whole through the chair. If participating via Zoom, select the participants tab and click the raise hand icon. If you are using a phone, please press *9 to raise your hand. If you're participating in person at the chambers, please complete a speaker card identifying the item in which you wish to speak and provide your completed card to the clerk. We have Jacob Tanasha.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I am here to speak on kind of the proposed updates to the kennel operations regulations. My name is Jacob Tanasha. I work here locally for Tanasha Farms. And then me and my wife, Jessica, we own and operate Parkland Pet Resort here in Hollister. So in 2023, we went through what we needed to do with the county and got our permit and started operating as a commercial dog boarding facility. We operate it with my brother-in-law, Kevin, who's here, and be happy to take questions as well after. But my wife has run a facility in Monterey County for the past 8 years. But what Monterey County has versus what you guys are proposing are two totally different things. Monterey is a lot more vague. This gets really down into the nitty-gritty, and there's a lot of issues with what we're proposing to do here. So, like examples, number 2, we need to name a manager daily that somebody will be able to see on a board, like a posting, if there's any issues. Well, we have a business line. You know, there's 2 to 3 people working at a time. So you have a business line, and just like any reputable business, if somebody has an issue, they're more than welcome to ask for a manager. Number 3, the operator is responsible for workers and employees. Yes, we are. But should a bad employee or a bad experience constitute revoking a permit? That's what we had just discussed on number 3. Number 8, the permit needs to be on display. What other businesses require that? I don't go into Jamba Juice or anything else and see their permitted uses or their permit from the county or the city. The floor space that we had talked about, there was a equation there where you took it was the size of a dog. You added 10 inches to it, multiplied it by 3, did the math. So I just ran it for a Labrador Retriever. If a lab's 40 inches long, you add 10. You do the math, you need 52 square feet for that dog. And your general dog pen or kennel is usually a 6x6 or a 4x4. So it's going way above what space is even required for a dog to be in for an overnight stay. I think that the county needs to look more so at who is applying, looking for references, experience, people who have handled dogs and dog businesses or cat and cat businesses, as opposed to getting so involved in the operations of the businesses. We operate very transparently, and what we've found is that sometimes employees...
Excuse me, one second. Okay, so technically your time is up, but I want to ask Abraham, do we have a lot more comment cards or people's hands raised on Zoom, et cetera?
Thank you for that question, Chairway. We have only one speaker card. That's Mr. Jacob Tanasha, and we have no...
There's one in the back of the room as well.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and also let me ask the speaker, do you have much more to say?
45 seconds.
I'll allow that.
We'll take it out of Joe's time.
There you go.
So basically what we offer is a window for prospective customers or whoever to come tour the facility. That's where you're going to rid things. We're going to have cleanliness, proper dog care, things of that nature. So as opposed to adding something to code enforcement's plate, maybe you add something along the lines of having a window weekly where prospective clients can come and tour a facility or check out what's going on. And maybe it's adding some kind of experience. Maybe it's adding health or animal services to do once a yearly check. But I think that getting into the nitty gritty, you've got some aspects in here. It talks about using metal trash cans, why the type of trash can would be important. And it's something that we would be willing to help the county draft maybe something that's a little bit less specific, but would provide a better and clearer path to starting a facility like this in the future. So
Okay, thank you.
that's all I have.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have Mr. Joe Tanasha.
I asked him to say, I wanted to say something before start time. This is a lot to comprehend when you're sitting out there and they have 3 minutes. And I'm in a situation where I'm probably the only ag person in here that's going to respond to anything. And I also have a kennel situation. So bear with me, but my first thing is on page 3, 4, section 25, 01007, 2 years following a denial. We're talking about ag and businesses. And I can understand a time for the denial to cool off, but I think 1 year is more than enough, especially if you're trying to promote businesses and you're trying to promote an industry. Non-conforming structures and sites must be appealed to establish a review. I have an issue there that'll come up in a second. Exempt required zoning clearance. Agricultural and industrial on page 5 of 22. Agricultural buildings, additions and everything else. What does the county go by for the zoning? I farm. I've got multiple properties that I farm. But yet I go in to get an application, and I've been there before. I want to put a building. I want to do this. I want to do that. Oh, you can't do that. That's rural residential. That's rural. You can't do that. It's not in that zoning. You have to go through a full-blown permitting process and all that. That's crap. I don't have that zoning until I apply for that zoning. I don't pay taxes on that zoning. I pay taxes on ag. It's just like to have ag housing. I can only have it in an ag production zone. I should be able to have it in rural residential and some of my other ranches where I have access to city water and maybe even city sewer, where I can have a decent property. But yet you go to do something, and it's not against the planning department, but there's got to be some kind of a way to make some exceptions for some of this stuff. And on 1825-03-004, Future Farmers American 4-H projects, ag rangeland, ag productive, rural, permitted. It should be permitted all the way across the top. Why can't they have small animals on 1 acre? Why can't they have the others?
So technically, your time is up. Like the previous speaker, I'm going to allow a little extra time. So can we give him another 2 minutes, please? Thanks.
Okay. So that was one thing just came out of the blue tonight. Section 22, 2503-004, off-site wine tasting. I think that should be permitted everywhere. I mean, I got a market. Why can't I have wine tasting there and sell wine and support the wine industry in this county? Period. Doesn't have to. I don't have to be the producer. Period. The Bureau of Alcohol and Beverages will give me a permit if I want to pay for it. That page, I don't even remember what the heck was on there. And you need to be careful on Section 2503-004, transitional housing and supportive housing, including assisted living and residential care, permitted straight across the board. Got a problem with that. I sure don't want any more things like schools next to me. And I'd hate to have a retirement or somebody else pull in a 5-acre parcel, 10-acre parcel, or 20-acre parcel. I got to spray, I got to run an operation. It doesn't work that way. It's not a good idea. I commend my son for getting up here and speaking about the kennels. And I think when you have a county like Monterey next to you with the Humane Society there and commercial kennels, and you're trying to write something so picky, I agree with the attorney, you need to be vague. And if anybody hasn't been to Parkland, maybe I'm a little prejudiced, but I think it's about one of the only permitted kennels in the county. And it's a landmark. They should be damn proud of what they got there. And if anybody ever took an animal there, you would be too. You should go see it. But you guys got to be, you can't be so.
Thank you. I'm sorry. That's been 5 minutes, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Carson Clark?
Good evening, Commission. My name is Carson Clower. I'm with K2 Solutions. I am a registered lobbyist with San Diego County, not speaking on behalf of anybody tonight. Just a quick clarifying question that Mr. Tanasha brought up regarding the 2-year wait time. Would that apply to all denials, or is it specifically for subdivisions, or?
Are we permitted to engage with the, I'm asking counsel at this point, we're permitted to engage with questions from the speaker at this point?
That would be at the discretion of the chair. Generally, most commissions will just simply take the information from the public comment.
Right, that was my inclination. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll
No worries. You can answer it after. If it's a 2-year wait time for any denial, that's problematic. No offense, but you denied something tonight without a findings in the code. So those people who are going to go back and maybe they'll appeal it or something, but if they have to wait 2 years to come back off that denial, that's a little egregious in my opinion. If it's for subdivisions, I understand. Maybe somebody proposes a huge project and you're like, hey, we don't like this. We don't like this for the next 2 years, bring it back later. But if somebody comes for a conditional use permit and you tell them no, and then they address some of those things, they have to wait 2 years before they can come back with a like project. I don't think that's right. I appreciate the work you guys have put into this. And I think I said this last time, I'd like to find a way for you to maybe pull out the kennel operations portion of this and move forward what you can. You do have people that would like to open businesses, that would like to purchase property, that are kind of waiting to see what the county does with the code. It's been going on for a while, so it'd be nice for people to be able to make decisions based off of what you decide. Those are the main things. I appreciate work, and I hope that as a commission, you can put some good code into place and then actually make decisions based off of the code. It's important that if an applicant is out there or somebody wants to do something, that when they look at the code or they hire me to look at the code and we talk to staff and staff provides a recommendation based off of the code, as everybody can read it, that there's some semblance of understanding that there's a good chance you're going to get accepted if you comply with all the code and that you agree to the conditions. So this, I think, will build toward that. But if you don't actually make the decisions off of the code, then the code doesn't really make any difference.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public that would like to speak? You could just come in over, and if you don't have a card, you can fill it out later. That's fine. Okay, thank you. We have Kevin Stover.
Yeah. Go. All right. Yeah, like Joe said, it's a lot to take in from over there. I just found out about this like at 5:30 about all the permitting for the kennels. I think it would be wise to counsel like at least the people that own Parkland. I have brothers that have kennels in Washoe County in Nevada, and then also San Luis County. So we have a lot of knowledge in this industry, and Parkland is the first kennel in Hollister. I think it'd be wise to discuss this further. And then also if you could, separate it from kind of what he mentioned, take a break on the kennel stuff, have a further discussion. I would even say there may things that you missed that you want to enforce for future kennels. So I think it'd be good to reassess. Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Last chance. There are no more public speakers.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so bringing it back to the commission for discussion and possible action. Any reaction to what's been said or?
Council, can we ask about the vaccines that the young man said he was?
If the chair wants to reopen public comment, but that would open it for the entire public.
I'm sorry, ask your question again.
Well, we had asked about vaccine, we had discussed about vaccines and everything.
Right. And you were wondering if there was anybody knowledgeable.
And someone said that they were.
Right.
Or do we want to even address that? Or what do we, as a council, do we want to address that?
All right, so
I did come up with a language. And of course, I lost the page. I would suggest that the draft be revised to state shall be vaccinated pursuant to the directive of a licensed veterinarian. I think that's fairly straightforward.
Seems reasonable to me.
Yeah, that's fine. But I was going to address what the young Tanasha said and the other young man with him. Maybe they should sit down with staff and we should pull this kennel out and let them, they know what they're doing with it. They've done it before. It sounds like he's knowledgeable. He's got some here in Nevada, and sit down and pull some of the stuff out that's making it too restrictive. I was sitting here thinking to myself, like, I wouldn't try doing this. This is ridiculous. So why don't you have an appointment within the next 10 days, get it done and get it back to us.
It's kind of hard.
Through the chair. That's actually a good suggestion. It's up to the planning commission, but if you have the draft, if you have any type of amendments that they feel that they can make, and then we can schedule a meeting. Staff can schedule a meeting if that's the direction of the planning commission.
Yeah. Before I react to that, let me ask. I'm sure that these numbers and ideas and so forth didn't come out of thin air. At least I hope not. What was the basis for some of these things, like the computation of the 100 of the dog length plus 10 inches and so forth? Where did that come from? What was the genesis of that?
That was all through research that was done even since November of 2024 that we've been working throughout. But definitely it's never too late. It sounds like there's quite a bit of comments and concerns that staff will be happy to work through if that's the direction of the planning commission. But we've been working through these codes since last year.
I won't swear to it, but I thought it was Santa Cruz County that we borrowed the code from, and that could be why it's so particular.
Yes, it is. That's where it came from.
It is Santa Cruz. Okay. Okay. Thanks.
I have a question for council, if I may. So the language about the denial by the Board of Supervisors, I know that they were really interested in the 2 years. Mm-hmm. Can that be specified for housing applications and not businesses?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of language could we use that would make sure it's just for housing and not for businesses? If you could come up with something, if you could think about that for a few minutes while we ponder the rest of this.
Okay.
Thank you. I don't want Carson to come back.
Well, I agree with Carson. If it's a business and they want to adjust it a little bit by making them wait 2 years. Now, if it's a big major subdivision or a minor subdivision, hey, wait a minute. Let's see if this is going to work here eventually. No, I agree with.
And I think that something got lost. Something got lost in the ordinance, because I remember discussing that the intent was that you had to wait 2 years to come back if you were coming back with substantially the same project. But if you substantially changed it, and of course, there's always the question of what constitutes as substantial, but if you made it enough different, you could come back before the 2 years was up, and that's not written into the ordinance.
No. I think it would be somewhere along the line it was decided it was vague, so that we cut a lot out and then it left it like this.
I will say, though, that I agree that the board is very interested in the 2-year thing, and I think if we were to change that to 1 year, they would change it back.
No, that's why I think if we try to specify that it applies to housing,
Right.
that maybe they'll accept that.
Yep.
Maybe. They are a strong-willed group.
Or a major subdivision, you know.
I wouldn't even know, because then you have all these the 5-acre things. I'd rather leave it at all housing.
Okay, all housing works for me.
God knows we got enough of those coming.
It's simple enough to make it apply only to this chapter. So you could put on number 7, denial by the Board of Supervisors. If the Board of Supervisors denies an application pursuant to this chapter, then it's qualified as only affecting land use applications. But the other question, that would bear more thought in terms of, it's escaping me how you phrased it. That I don't know if I could come up with language off the cuff. I might want to spend more time with that.
Well, we could give you more time in the motion, but I would like to make sure that, because this chapter also applies to businesses, correct? Kennels and everything else, wineries, unless I'm confused. I think everything is
It
wrapped in
does
there.
apply to businesses in the sense that it allows certain types of uses in certain zones. So it is the zoning ordinance.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily apply to, if this says you have to go get a license and that license is under some other section of the code, then no, it doesn't apply to that.
Okay.
So I was kind of surprised at the Future Farmers of America and stuff like that too. That, I mean, I don't necessarily know. I wouldn't care if my neighbor kid that was FFA in my subdivision needed somewhere to keep his pig or whatever. I mean, but that's just me, because I would do that. But I think that if your folks have a 1 acre, like he had stated, if they have 1 acre, why can't you put your cow or your pig? I mean, my friend kept my granddaughter's FFA cow for 2.5 months, and the little stalls that they have, you know, he was fine and it was wonderful, but why aren't it in rural and rural transition? Why isn't it permitted throughout is my question. I wasn't a part of this, so just so you know. But why can't it be permitted?
Livestock is permitted in all zones. I'm not sure why we left this in there. We probably should have just struck the whole thing because it's confusing, but maybe that's the solution. Is just
We got rid of that after we had that other debacle.
Yeah, so if I may, precisely what you're indicating, Commissioner Thomason, that is the reason why it's being the language is being struck out to allow it under the AR and AP zoning district. It's just that's the way it stands now. Under R and RT, it's silent, and so if I'm not mistaken, in order for it to consider it also for the R and RT, it would have to be direction from the board to make that change. But we are under the way that it is right now, we are making that change precisely to why you're asking. So it can be somebody can come into another. It doesn't have to be the person residing on that property to be able to be able to do it for each project. But for the R and the RT, I agree. It should be in there as well, but it's just that currently it's not. We can certainly go back to the board and let the board know that there was interest to bring it to
Can't we modify it and just send it to the board and they can make the determination rather than asking them for their permission to, I mean, don't we have the abilities of the planning commission, or have they taken away all of our authority to modify things?
I believe you're right. I know that lately, though, in regards to all these zoning changes that we have done, the direction was that it had to come from the board first and then be presented to you. But
Is that contrary to state law? Don't we have authority as the planning commission?
You are charged with making a recommendation to the board.
Yeah.
That is the action before you.
So we can make a recommendation. They don't tell us what recommendations we can make to them, correct? That's what it sounds like they're trying to institute.
Exactly.
And I'm not surprised, but I don't agree. And I think we can make whatever recommendations we like. And if they don't like it, they can ignore us.
and we could definitely take that recommendation to them, and then if they say or think different, we can come back to you with that. But yeah, I think we're all on the same page where it really should be a permitted use in all zoning, in all the agricultural things.
And I also have a qualm about the specificity of this. It calls out Future Farmers of America and 4-H. There may very well be other groups that are similar, either today or tomorrow or in a year, that we would have to modify the ordinance to explicitly indicate. Can we just include and similar groups? And would that cause a problem from a legal standpoint? Counsel?
I'm sorry.
If we just, in the part where it talks about FFA and 4-H, my concern is what if there arise other groups that are similar that we would also want to permit to do these activities? We would have to come back and modify the ordinance the way it's written, whereas if we just added something like or similar organizations, would that cause a problem from a legal standpoint? Or, I mean, do we have to define what
that
similar
language
is?
itself is a bit vague.
Yeah.
I understand what you're trying to accomplish.
Can we just strike it?
Yeah, because livestock is allowed in all zoning, so we don't even need this.
Okay.
And why we're creating an argument for the sake of
Yeah,
Well-
wasting 10 minutes. I think we should just strike the whole thing.
For the FFA?
Yes, because it doesn't matter.
Okay, that's why,
If you can
that's
keep
why I was
livestock, it doesn't
curious.
matter.
Well,
If you're part of these groups.
okay.
So yeah, I think it was, let's strike it.
So can we, are we
That'll be
done?
part of the motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I would suggest is the planning director has been notating all of the comments throughout the discussion. And after you're finished with your discussion, I would ask him to state what those are and make sure nothing got missed. And then whoever, if a motion is made, the motion would be directing the planning director to follow the comments that he's already been writing.
right.
Yeah.
Hi,
Page 109 of the packet.
109, the FFA. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Aye.
Yeah, I'd be fine with striking that. It seems unnecessary.
Indeed.
Okay. There was one other.
All right. Other discussion within the commission? Otherwise, what about the business about the kennel situation? Do we have an appetite for removing that from tonight's consideration and asking for a meeting to take place with staff? I mean, I know that was your preference, is that?
That's what I would like to see.
I would like to change the table to allowed and then deal with the regulations after. As opposed to if this takes another 6 months and somebody wants to start a business, given how the county functions, are we going to make somebody wait another 6 months until we figure out, oh, well, we didn't want all these regulations?
Well, when you say allowed, do you mean permitted or do you mean
Allowed.
administrative permit?
Well, administrative.
Okay, because there's a difference between P and A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
aren't
I
we-
wouldn't be,
where are
I
we?
wouldn't be great with P, but.
What,
An
A.
administrative permit would require criteria for staff to be able to determine whether the permit should be issued.
Well,
It's
under
allowed.
what page? Sorry.
An allowed use, so you don't need a permit.
A, is that A?
Pet shops, commercial kennels, A.
A is not allowed. A is administrative permit.
Well, what's P?
P is permitted. So P is allowed and A is administrative permit. I know it's ridiculously confusing.
Okay, now,
I mean, I hope I'm not wrong, but I think that's my understanding.
That's my understanding as well.
CUP.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so P is
Allowed.
P is you can do it, and A is you need to get an administrative permit.
Why don't we fix that? Oh,
Lord have mercy.
okay. Illogical.
Robert, when were you on?
Well,
page?
it would be page 113. And but it's in black, so it's already permitted. Administrative permit.
Yeah, well, how are we operating today? I mean, we have a commercial kennel in the county, and they're operating under some existing regulations.
That is correct. That is correct. There are some existing regulations. This would just add more.
Right. So we could do what Commissioner Gibson suggests, which is just allow it and then deal with the additional regulations as an add-on,
So there's no change to the table. We just ignored all the rules for now.
Which would be section 25.08012D.
Yeah.
So just not include any of that for right now. If it's the will of the Planning Commission, direct staff to work with the members of the public, and we can come back with more detailed information.
But I want to make it clear that I am not advocating for, I'm not trying to say, oh, we don't need any regulations to make sure that the dogs are safe and comfortable and happy. And I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, we need to look into further what those regulations should be.
Well,
if any need to be different from what are currently.
We don't have any rules or regulations in place now, really. So, and I don't think thousands of people are going to be, oh, San Benito County has a loophole. Let's open up a kennel so we can abuse animals. I mean, I don't think it's that big of an issue myself, unless I'm missing something in society.
Well, if neighboring counties, I know what you're going to say about Santa Cruz, but if neighboring counties have regulations for animal welfare, it doesn't strike me as a terrible thing for us to have regulations as well, even if they aren't as necessarily, I mean, we aren't Santa Cruz County, and there are things that they need to do to say that we...
If Monterey is less restrictive and they're surviving, I don't know why we couldn't look at a Monterey model.
Yeah, I was just going to
as opposed to saying how many square inches a kitten has to have. I mean, I thought it was kind of odd when we did it, but staff wanted to go that direction, so I went along with it. But if people that are on the ground doing it saying it doesn't make a lot of sense, then maybe we need to.
Yeah, let's look at some of the other counties.
Did we only get, maybe this is for Abraham, did we only look at Santa Cruz as a model? That was the only county that we looked at?
Yes.
Maybe that's something that,
It's been over a year.
You have to have him go to the mic. I can't hear.
No, he didn't. He
And
wanted
it's not
to know
open.
if Santa Cruz had.
Abraham, can you get a hold of Monterey County and see what kind of ordinance they have for commercial kennels?
Anything.
And then
I
bring it
understand.
to
We
us?
don't want to
And
over-regulate anything.
The Monterey County one? Yeah, absolutely.
sounds like Monterey County is pretty
Or even
user-friendly.
Or even slow.
Is Monterey County?
But why are we,
No, San Luis Obispo, slow. Really?
Really?
That's stunning.
Okay, so it
Mr.
sounds
Chair,
like-
I believe you should be reopening public comment at this point because there's going back and forth between the commission and the
I was
public.
just about to try to rein that in a little bit. Yeah, all right, so you're thinking we should reopen it?
If that's the will of the commission, but the back and forth that's occurring.
Right, it's
Yeah.
not appropriate for this part of the meeting, yeah. So I guess, yeah, let's reopen public comment, and if somebody wants to come to the mic and say something,
It has to be at the microphone, so it's on the public record.
right.
Good evening, Commission. My name is Sean Haywood. I'm an entrepreneur looking to open a business in San Benito County. I've done my research in all of the counties from all of Northern California to Southern California. While you could argue that Part D is in the best interest of animals, it's far more restrictive than what most other counties do. What's unique about San Benito County is that commercial kennels aren't actually allowed anywhere except agricultural rangeland. Right now, this new ordinance update would enable it on agricultural productive and agricultural rangeland and parts of rural residential. So right now, there's actually no pathway in the zoning ordinance to operate a commercial kennel in the county, and that's what this addresses. In terms of Section D, I'd argue that people love their dogs and cats like they do human children. And if there isn't sufficient space and it doesn't feel safe and these conditions aren't adequate, they simply won't bring their animal to that kennel. And there are options, including family and friends. And so what I would ask is that you allow it. You allow entrepreneurs to create businesses and compete on a meritocratic system. And there are federal and other state regulations that will capture bad faith actors. And the AP designation will allow other people to have influence over who is introducing this business into the county. And if there are ongoing problems, it eventually will be shut down. So I ask in the spirit of like commerce and entrepreneurship and a use case that is consistent with the culture of the economy and has the ability to bring in revenue, that you kind of just, with these responsible channels, allow entrepreneurship to roam and allow entrepreneurs who have a passion for animals to do their thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is public comment closed again?
Yeah, so is there more public comment in chambers or via Zoom?
None.
There's no comment via Zoom. Anybody else that wants to speak or mention anything? No further
Okay.
comments, Chair.
Okay, go
Through the
ahead.
chair, I just have a question for staff. So the paper that I'm looking at now, page 113, number 27, section 25.03.004, agricultural and rural districts. It says pet shops, commercial kennels, and hobby kennels. And in black, it says A on AR, AP, and rural, and a dash on rural transition. And then on the backside of that paper, under residential rural, there's a red A for commercial kennels, and then a dash for R1 and RM. So currently, you can have a commercial kennel on AR, AP, and R.
Where it's a black, yes, and then the red is being proposed.
There's a small correction to that. The red is being proposed, so it's a hobby kennel, I believe is what you're looking at in section 27.
No, section 30. Section 30.
My mistake, thank you.
Section 27 says commercial kennels and hobby kennels.
Yes, you're correct.
And then
I was looking at the wrong section.
And then page 114, section 2503.005 says commercial, and that's being changed to an administrative permit under RR. So if we move forward, I'd just like to let that table stand while we're working on the rules, and hopefully they won't be as onerous.
So just to clarify, you're saying that we currently allow commercial kennels on agricultural productive?
That's what this says.
I don't think that's true.
Well, then this is incorrect.
What pages are we on?
Page 113 of our packet. So,
Oh, I see why. It's because the wording about pet shops and commercial kennels is new.
oh, okay.
It used to just say hobby kennels.
Okay.
That's why.
Good catch. So then, after tonight, I'd like to add the pet shops, commercial kennels,
Yes.
and language to that, so at least that part can move forward
I
while
agree
we're
with that.
fiddling with the.
Yeah, we have somebody champing at the bit to do some
Yeah.
commerce in the
If we
county.
can be
Yep.
business friendly,
Yeah.
I think we should take the opportunity, given our standing.
Okay. All right. Other discussion within the commission or a motion, although I'm really confused as to the nature of what that motion would be at this point, but I think I know what it is.
I'll make one. So I will move to adopt this with the following changes. Page 106, as far as the language regarding the denial by the board, to have that specify towards, to housing and not businesses. Page 109 of the packet regarding Future Farmers of America and 4-H, strike that because it's unnecessary as livestock is already allowed in all zoning. On page 110, offsite tasting, change AR, AP, and rural to A instead of a CUP because we're supposed to be business friendly and tourism friendly. Page 111, just change the formatting so that the P is in the correct row for cultivation of cannabis under AR, AP, and I guess it's struck out on R and RT. So just P under AR and AP. On page 119, number 9, item number 9, strike the last sentence. The inspections shall be conducted with the operator or manager present. Page 120, just to re-letter / renumber as appropriate the items regarding construction. Although I think actually, wait a minute, that whole thing is actually being withheld, so never mind.
Yes.
And just withhold, which section? D, section 2508.012, kennels and pet shops.
Section D through J.
Yep. Yes, suspend those until you have the opportunity to review the information. I think that covers it.
Yeah.
So that's the motion, but before we ask for a second, could I ask Abraham if he has notes that go above and beyond what Commissioner Gibson?
Thank you for that, Mr. Chair. That covers it.
Okay. All right. Do we have a second then on Commissioner Gibson's motion?
I second.
Okay. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Vincent Hayden.
Yes.
Commissioner Bobby Thomason.
Yes.
Commissioner Richard Way.
Yes.
Commissioner Gibson.
Yes.
Commissioner Scalioti.
Yes.
We have a majority, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Motion carries. Okay. Let me find my place again. One moment. Bear with me.
We're back to the calendar
Yep.
and committee assignment.
Yep.
But we already did the calendar.
We did the calendar, that's right. Okay, so moving on to item 8, regular agenda. And we already did the nominations and elections, chair and vice chair, 8.1. 8.2, as Commissioner Gibson points out, we already did the calendar for the current year in December. Committee assignments, I don't believe we have active
We
ad
do.
hocs. We do?
We do have the SBCCP and
Okay.
I think, is the homeless thing still going that you?
No.
It's
No,
not,
homeless
and I was
thing
going to
is
ask
not.
about that. Is there any movement on that? Has it moved?
No.
So still a,
The last email that I got on that said that to delete the meetings from your calendar because the task force had been dissolved.
Could I just ask that you reappoint all those people to the active, because we can't remember what their letters and all that stuff are. That you just cover us so that if we do
Yes.
have a meeting pop up, that we can actually participate?
Yes, that's fine.
Thank you.
I'm happy to do that. Okay. All right, does that cover 8.2 then, I think? Okay. Future agenda items, I have nothing, so please feel free. Yes.
I do.
Okay.
I would like a report from whether it's Director of Public Works, who was here momentarily, or the Director of Building and Planning, or the Chair of the Board of Supervisors, or the CAO, or the guy on the corner. I'd like to know where we are with the undergrounding of utilities on Enterprise and Southside. It seems like it's been 2 years and nothing's been done, and I would imagine that nothing has been done to further that request from the Planning Commission. But I'd just like to tickle my feathers and find out what has or has not been done. There was an email from the Planning Association of California or some group, and it mentioned accessory commercial units. It's kind of like an ADU, but for businesses. And if we could have, I know it's your limited time, but if you could just maybe give us a brief presentation on accessory commercial units, maybe it's something that might help generate revenue and possibly jobs for the county. And then my only other thing was that if we can keep hitting at this every month, the zoning updates, until we get it done, because it's been a very long road, and every month that goes along, I forget more and more, and I'm sure everyone else does. So it'd be nice if we continue to make sure every month we get a section or 2 or 3 or 4, whatever works. That's it for me.
Other, yes.
Yes, I have comment. I'd like to know through code enforcement, what is going on with the site at the corner of San Felipe and Shore Road? What is it? There doesn't be seeing any movement there, removing all that debris. I'd like to get an update on what's going on from her. And I'd also like to know what's going on with the solar plant up on Panoche. Are they, after all these rains, are they holding that to a 1-inch maximum height? And I'd like pictures of that to prove it. Because I know they're not. There's no way. It's impossible. That's what I want. Next meeting, please. Thank you.
Other future agenda items? Okay. Okay, moving on then to commissioner announcements. Anything? I would just point out that I think we all received an email regarding our Form 700 being due. And, well, it's due in April, but there's nothing that would prevent us from filing early. And especially since I have a tendency to forget things if I don't do them immediately when they come to my attention. So that would be a good thing to keep in mind.
I did mine.
Yep. Oh, okay, cool. Excellent. All right, then I think the next item is adjournment.
So moved.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none. Motion carries 5-0. We are adjourned at 8:53. Thank you.